The red and blue lights danced across my driveway in harsh pulses as two police cruisers came to a halt outside my home. From my study window, I saw my 16-year-old daughter Emily standing on the porch, frozen in place, her overnight bag gripped tightly in both hands. Two uniformed officers were already approaching her, their hands hovering near their belts, alert and cautious. And standing at the edge of my lawn with her arms smugly folded was none other than Patricia Hawthorne, HOA president of Maple Ridge Estates and apparently self-appointed neighborhood enforcer. She had no idea she'd just committed the biggest blunder of her nosy, control-obsessed life. Let me rewind. I'm David Garrison, circuit court judge for Jefferson County. I've held the bench for over a decade. 3 years ago, following my divorce, my daughter Emily began spending alternate weekends at my home here in Maple Ridge, a community I once believed to be peaceful and private, until Patricia turned it into her personal dictatorship. In her 5-year reign as HOA president, Patricia treated the bylaws like gospel. Trash cans left out a few minutes too long? Fined. Weeds between pavers? Citation. A wreath still hanging after the holidays? That cost my neighbor $200. But her real obsession was who entered the neighborhood. She stationed herself near the front gate and questioned visitors like a border patrol officer, barking at contractors, chasing delivery vans, and trailing unfamiliar cars on foot like she was part of a neighborhood SWAT team. Most residents avoided confrontation. It was easier to ignore her than fight back. That is, until she decided to target my daughter. Emily had just arrived for her scheduled visit. Her mother dropped her off at the front gate, and she walked the 2 short blocks to my house, something she'd done many times before. I was in my office reviewing a particularly dense custody case when I heard the distant static of radios and the unmistakable sound of police approaching. Curious, I looked out the window. My heart dropped. There stood Emily, flanked by 2 officers. Her face was pale, streaked with tears, her voice shaking as she tried to speak. Patricia was animated, pointing and shouting over her. "She was sneaking around back," Patricia said dramatically, "clearly casing the house. I've never seen her before, and I know everyone here. She looked like one of those troubled teens you see on the news, probably here to rob the place." Officer Chen, the taller of the 2, held up a hand to de-escalate. "Ma'am, she says she lives here. She has a key." "Of course she does," Patricia snapped. "These kids are crafty. They steal keys, make copies, lie. I'm telling you, I stopped a robbery." That's when I stepped outside. "Is there a problem here, officers?" Patricia turned, smiling like she'd just done the neighborhood a great service. "Oh, Judge Garrison, thank God you're home. I caught this girl trying to break into your house." I called 911 immediately. I walked calmly down the steps, pulled out my wallet, and handed Officer Chen my ID and court credentials. "That won't be necessary. This is my daughter, Emily. She's here for her visitation weekend." The officers visibly shifted. Officer Mitchell, the younger one, straightened up. Officer Chen gave a slight nod, recognizing my name. Their tone changed immediately. "We apologize for the confusion, Your Honor," Officer Chen said. "We received a report of a break-in, but clearly that's not the case." Patricia's face fell. "Wait, no, she can't be your daughter. I've never seen her before." I turned to her, my voice firm. "That's your mistake, not hers. Emily's been visiting me every other weekend for the past 3 years. Maybe you were too busy policing holiday decorations to notice." Patricia's cheeks reddened. "She was walking around the side of the house. She uses the side path because she knows I keep the front gate locked," I interrupted. "She wasn't sneaking, she was being respectful." Emily, still shaken, added, "I told her who I was. She wouldn't listen. She just kept yelling at me to get off the property." Officer Mitchell looked up from his notepad. "Ms. Hawthorne, did this girl identify herself before you called the police?" Patricia opened her mouth, then closed it again. "She might have said something, but I didn't believe her. You can't be too careful these days." "Actually," Officer Chen said, "you can. Filing a false police report is a serious offense." "I genuinely thought—" "You genuinely harassed a child," I snapped. "You didn't stop a burglary. You traumatized my daughter. How many others have you accused? How many visitors have you harassed?" The officers exchanged a glance. This wasn't their first run-in with Patricia. "We've had multiple calls from Ms. Hawthorne," Officer Mitchell confirmed. "Most were false alarms." "I'm just trying to keep this neighborhood safe," Patricia insisted. But the confidence was gone from her voice. "No," I said. You're trying to control it, and there's a big difference. Officer Chen stepped forward. Ms. Hawthorne, this is a formal warning for misuse of emergency services. We'll be documenting this. Continued behavior like this could result in criminal charges. Patricia's expression shifted from anger to alarm. You can't do that. I'm the HOA president. Exactly, I said. And that role gives you authority over landscaping, not law enforcement. I know. I read the bylaws before I bought this house. I turned to the officers. I'll be filing a complaint with your department and the HOA board. That's your right, sir, Officer Chen nodded. Patricia tried one last desperate tactic. This isn't over. There are procedures for visitors, registration, notifications. Let's talk about those procedures now, I said, pulling out my phone. I have Jennifer Rodriguez on speed dial. She's on the board and a practicing attorney. I think she'd be very interested in hearing how you called the cops on a resident's daughter. Patricia paled. That's not necessary. Oh, I think it is. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. I followed through on my complaint. The story spread fast. Patricia called the police on Judge Garrison's daughter, became the new Maple Ridge gossip. Residents began speaking up. Turns out, Patricia had made a lot of enemies. The HOA called an emergency meeting. The clubhouse was packed. One by one, neighbors shared their own Patricia stories. Mr. Patterson fined for a tricycle in his driveway, the Wilsons' reunion ruined by a noise complaint, Mrs. Foster shamed over pink petunias. Patricia shrank in her chair as the community turned on her. When the vote of no confidence came, it was unanimous, but it didn't stop there. The county prosecutor reviewed her pattern of false reports. They pressed charges, misuse of emergency services. The irony, the woman who loved calling the cops was now the one standing before a judge. I saw her the morning of her arraignment. No smugness, no clipboard, no smug authority. Just a scared woman with a pale face and a rookie attorney at her side. 50 hours of community service, I heard him whisper. $5,000 fine. You'll also be banned from holding any HOA position for 5 years. Her knees almost buckled. We locked eyes briefly. I could have gloated, could have made some cutting remark, but I didn't. I didn't need to. The law had done its job. She pleaded no contest. Her voice was barely a whisper. When the judge read the sentence, the gavel hit the bench, and with it, the end of Patricia's reign. She'd finally learned what power without limits costs, and this time, it cost her everything.